Okay, everybody, we're on my porch now, which is where I solder, so apologize if there's any car noises or anything like that. You'll want to be in a well-ventilated area if you are soldering, or in a garage or something like that. So here is the soldering iron that I use. I'll have it linked for you below, so you can purchase this one. So yeah, just go over on the soldering station itself. I have that. I have this cleaner, which I dip the solder in as I go, just like that. And then tier 2 kits, you guys will receive some of this paste flux. You'll receive some silver gleam. I'm also gonna give you some tinned copper wire, which I use for bales and jump rings, things like that. And you just cut it with wire cutters. I usually keep some pieces off to the side ready to go. So I'm not sure what I want to do. I'll probably do like 2 in the corners is what my usual is. Again, here's some practice glass. I'm going to give you guys some pieces of this. And there's flux remover included in tier 2 as well. So once I finish soldering, I'll give you guys the instructions on cleaning. So we'll get started. All right, so I'm on the, let's start on the back. Here's the back. So this was just the, the part without the shape of the crystal. Start there. I also have gloves included in your tier 2 kit as well. So hand protection, as well as the well-ventilated area. It's nice to have. I usually wear a respirator or I have a fume extractor. If you're gonna do this a lot, highly recommend those items as well. Okay, so I have just this, this is actually an old makeup brush, but you can use like a paintbrush, whatever you have for flux. Just find a cheap brush and apply. I like the paste for the flux rather than the liquid because you can see where you're applying it. So just go ahead and go around the whole edge to start. It's all there. All right, I'm gonna hold the solder, do a little dip, and you'll see it flow. We're just gonna cover all the area we just put flux. And if it's not looking smooth, just keep the iron there, heat it up. Once it's hot, it's gonna smooth back out. So you always go back and fix anywhere you need to. And you don't want to go too thin with this. You can kind of see there is like a 3-dimensional aspect to it. That's what you want. Okay, before I start flipping and moving around, I'm gonna get my jump rings on and get that part done. So this can be somewhat tricky. Just really takes some patience, I guess. Patience, practice, like everything else requires. I use my jewelry third arm, which is a weighted tweezer. Be very mindful that this is hot once you've started. So these gloves only do so much, and just make sure you've tested and make sure it's cool before you go grab it. All right, so I have, you know, if you can get a pair of tweezers for this step, or you can hold this part with your fingers just on the end. Actually, I don't really recommend that. I actually normally am wearing grilling gloves, which are thick heat protectant gloves. So if you have something like that, that's really perfect. Okay, so I'm getting my solder over here ready. I got some flux on the tips here. I added some flux here. So the part that makes this tricky is this does take a few seconds to cool down. It's not super immediate, so don't move until you know it's cooled down. Okay, so give it a little extra few seconds than what you even think. And the amount that I had that first time was enough to hold it. I didn't necessarily need to do that second one, but I did. So if you get it the first time and it's secure, you can go ahead and just leave that alone. Sometimes you go in for a second round and you mess it up, so. Okay, now I'm gonna aim to get this next side as symmetrical as I can. You could mark it if you would like to. See if I can get this one as well as I did the first one. That was pretty good. Okay, I am happy with that. It is a little warm to touch, like I said. So we're gonna be standing this up to do all around the sides. This is gonna be helpful once again for that. But you can find something that's heat safe and use it on either side. You can, again, just put on some grilling gloves and not have to worry about anything and just hold it however you need to hold it. Sorry, some loud cars. Okay, so this is where gravity comes into play. And I'm actually just gonna hit this one side. I'm not gonna go anywhere else yet because we're gonna get the crystal there before we really do everything perfectly on the top and the bottom. So let's get the side. Be careful when you're doing the area with the jump rings you just got. If you weren't able to get them, just put it aside and try it later and just keep going. Like, don't stress about getting these perfect if it's not working out right away. Keep going with your solder and those can come together any point later. But as I was saying, as you're going past them again, just be mindful that you are heating up the area that's holding it on. So don't go crazy on applying a lot more heat right there, like holding the iron there. You don't want to do that. Okay, I'm gonna fix it up a little better later. We just want to get a good coat, and then we'll smooth around before we finish everything. So I flipped it over. I'm going to do the other side. And every now and then I'm also taking my iron off to the side and dipping it into that cleaner. Hopefully, if you are, you know, borrowing your iron from someone, go ahead and ask them to borrow their tip cleaner as well. All right, I'm gonna lay it down on its back. Let's get the crystal on. So I'm going to, my crystal's kind of clear, so I was wondering if I want to solder underneath it, and I think I'm not gonna solder underneath it. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave the tape. So most, you know, ones that you've picked out, you have a cabochon, something flat backed. It's just gonna lay flat on there, and you're not gonna see the tape underneath. As I was saying, this one's a moonstone, and it's actually a bit transparent. So I'm seeing the copper foil behind it, which is nice, really nice. So I'll leave that. Okay, so I've fluxed everything, and now at this point, I wanna just drop a few pieces of solder in spots as just a little holder before I swipe anything, because I don't want to move the crystal around. I'm just gonna go drop, 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 and then we'll flow the whole thing. Okay, that looks nice. So I'm just going around and smoothing. Anything you don't like, just heat it back up, and if it's not heating well, add another bit of flux and try again. Now let's just go around the whole shape. Oh, I forgot I didn't add flux. You can see what's happening. It's just like looking kind of gross and ugly. So as I'm finishing, I will go over cleaning with you now. As soon as I finish this, I am gonna head to my bathroom with some Dawn dish soap as well as my CJ's Flux Cleaner. And, you know, first I wanna make sure it's cooled down enough that I can handle. That's actually important. You're gonna let it cool down for a sec and then clean it off with Dawn dish soap. I usually just use my hands, but you can give a little scrub with a toothbrush or something gentle. And then go in with the flux cleaner as well, which is absolutely necessary because the flux that we're using is a, like toxic chemical, I believe. So you don't want to have that sticking around on your artwork and transferring onto your hands and skin, which is why we're wearing the gloves. All right, so then once you've given it a good wash with both of those things, you pretty much got your final product. And I'm gonna give you a pro tip right now, because there are no guarantees that you're not gonna have moisture that has seeped in throughout this whole process somehow. Hopefully not, generally not, but sometimes you do. So if that happens to you, here's what you want to have ready. Get a Tupperware, fill it with rice. Same thing you would do when you drop your iPhone in the water, or your phone. Throw it in some rice and just leave it there. Literally the same thing. So I have, no joke, I have saved some pieces. I let it stay overnight, and the next day it had sucked all the moisture right out. And just wipe off the little rice dust it leaves behind, and you're good to go. So I hope that doesn't happen to any of you guys, and that is your reminder right now to get that foil tape nicely burnished on, and hopefully that will not happen. Okay, so as you can see, I'm doing the underneath part right now, and I was just like going inside this curve and just heating it up till it got to like a nice smoothness that I like. Just kind of keep going back and forth. And it's the underneath part, so if it's not perfect, that's okay. Okay. I think we just have the top left, and then I'll probably fix a little bit of the front. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, again, thank you so much for purchasing the kit if you had done so. I really hope you enjoyed it, and again, reach out with any questions that you have. So I'm gonna do the final. I think I've hit every spot I need to hit. I'm gonna go in with one last little flux application and smooth, one last smooth, and that'll be it. So I'm gonna go clean it off, and I hope you guys all have a great day and that you've learned something you can take on for your own creations. So take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.